Hi, how are you today? Okay, we're good, right? Good. So today our lesson is going to be on basic science. We're going to be talking on basic science, and our topic for today is called pests. It's called pests. What do we mean by pests? Types of pests, how to control pests. That is what we're going to be learning about in today's video. So I hope we're ready to go into today's lesson. Are we ready to go into today's lesson? Okay, let's go. What do we mean by pests? Pests are tiny creatures like insects or animals that can cause trouble in gardens and farms. They eat or damage plants and can make it hard for farmers to grow their crops. Some common pests include insects like caterpillars and animals like rabbits or deers. Farmers have to find ways to protect their plants from these pests so they can grow healthy fruits and vegetables. So pests, we said, are tiny creatures like insects or animals that can cause trouble in the gardens and farm. They make your plants not to grow properly. That is what we mean by pests. They disturb the plants, they don't grow properly. They won't be able to bear healthy fruits, food, vegetables for us. So pests are tiny creatures like insects or animals that can cause trouble in the garden. They eat or damage the plants and can make it hard for farmers to grow their crops. Okay, did you get that? So pests disturbs our farm, our gardens, and it will be very difficult for the plants to grow when there are pests around. Okay, so we're going to be looking at various types of pests. Okay, we have the insects. Types of pests, we have insects. These are tiny creatures like six legs, sorry. Common insect pests include aphids, caterpillars, grasshoppers, and beetles. They can munch on plants and damage crop. These insects, they damage the crop. We have the rodents. We have pests like mice, rats, and mammals with sharp teeth. They can nibble on plants, eat stored grains, and cause damage in the gardens or farm. We all know rats, right? Mice. They have sharp teeth in front. They can nibble, eat your plants. They can also eat your grains where you store your grains, your harvested food. They can eat them and it will cause damage to the products. It will cause damage in your garden and your farms. So we said we have the insects, we have the rodents. These cause harmful damage to your plants. They stop growing. It makes it difficult for you to farm. We have other types here. We have the birds. Some birds like pigeons and sparrows can be pests when they eat fruits, seed, or crops intended for human. Maybe you have like a guava tree now. Birds from up, pigeons, sparrows, different types of birds can eat your fruits. So birds are also pests. Okay, did we understand that? Birds can be pests because they eat your fruits, eat your seeds, your crops, which you have planted for yourself. We have the weeds. Weeds are unwanted plants that can take over the gardens and fields, stealing nutrients and sunlight from the crops we want to grow. Weeds are unwanted plants. They are not necessary, they are not needed because they will be competing with your crop or your plants, taking their nutrients, the sunlight, the water. So weeds are also they are also types of pests. Sorry, they are also types of pests. Okay, did we understand that? We have the fungi. The fungi, like mildew and mold, can grow on plants and cause diseases, making them sick and less productive. So if a pest, or if there are pests in your garden or your farm, your plants or crops will not be productive. And fungi is types of pests. It will grow on the plants and make them sick and less productive. Plants can also get sick, okay, when they lack nutrients. We have the nematodes. They are tiny worms that live in the soil. They can harm plant roots, affecting their ability to get nutrients. So all these are types of pests. They are what? Types of pests. And remember, we said pests are tiny creatures like insects or animals that can cause trouble in the garden. They eat or damage plants and can make it hard for farmers to grow their crops. Even while they are growing their crops, the crops will lack nutrients, they will be damaged because pests are feeding on them. And we said we have the insects like the caterpillars, grasshoppers. We have the rodents like the rats. Then we also said we have birds. Birds can also be pests, not just because they are flying on the so they are flying in the air, we feel like they are not pests. They are also pests. They will be feeding on your planted seeds or your fruits. Birds also eat, even if they are flying up above, they come down to eat from your fruits, your seeds. So they are also pests. The fruits and the crops you have planted for yourself. Then we have the weeds, that the unwanted plants that grow with your plants. Okay, we got that right. So we have known some types of pests, right? Then we said we have the fungi, we have the nematodes. Okay, so we have different ways of controlling pests. Pest control, we have the biological way and the chemical way. The biological pest control is like using nature's help to fight the pest. Some insects, birds, and animals are natural enemies of pests. For example, ladybugs eating aphids, which are plants eating insects. Okay, farmers can introduce these helpful creatures into their fields to keep pest population in check. This method is eco-friendly because it doesn't use chemicals that can harm the environment. So the biological pest control is depending on nature to help you fight this pest. Okay, you just depend on nature to help you fight the pests. That is what we mean by the biological control. It doesn't involve chemicals. It won't cause harm to your environment. Then we have advantages and disadvantages of this biological pest control. The advantage is it does not harm the environment. Okay, it reduces the need for chemical pesticides. There is no need for you to be using chemical pesticides often because they are depending on nature. Did we understand that? Then we also have the disadvantage. It may take time for the natural predators to control the pest population. Since we are depending on nature, we don't know when it will end the pest disturbance. So it might take time, it might not. But if it takes time, it will be affecting your crops, it will be affecting your plants. Nature can be unpredictable and the effectiveness of the biological control can vary. It is possible it won't even help. Nature is very unpredictable. You don't know what will happen next. It's possible it will help, it is possible it will not help, it varies. Okay, so we have the advantage and the disadvantage of everything we apply to life. Then we have the chemical control. We have the chemical control. The chemical pest control is the use of special chemicals or sprays to kill or repel pests. These chemicals can be effective in getting rid of pests quickly, but they can also harm other living things and the environment if not used carefully. Farmers and gardeners must follow safety guidelines when using chemical pest control method. It's essential to use chemicals only when necessary and to choose safer option whenever possible. Just like we have the advantage of the biological pest control and the disadvantage, we also have advantage of this chemical pest control and the disadvantage. Remember, everything have their advantages and their disadvantage. Everything has bad and good. It depends on which one is more. Okay, so the advantage of biological the advantage of chemical the advantages of chemical pest control. Chemicals can kill pests rapidly, preventing damage to crop. If you are using the chemical pest control, it will help you kill the pest faster, and it will prevent your crops from damaging the more. Okay, it can be highly effective in controlling a wide range of pests. So that's an advantage of using chemical pest control. We also have the disadvantage. Improper use can pose health risks to humans and animals. When you are using the chemicals, if you are not careful, you are causing harm to yourself, the environment, everyone in the environment, the animals, also the plants. So it can impose health risks. Okay, so that is one of the advantage of chemical pest control. And chemicals can pollute the soil and water if not used correctly. If it's not a professional that is using it, you won't know how to use it correctly, and it might pollute the soil and the water, the environment. So these are the advantages and disadvantage of chemical pest control. There are more, right? Not just these ones I mentioned. So the beginning of the lesson, we talked about pests, knowing the meaning of pests. We also talked about the different types of pests we have, the insects, rodents, birds, weeds, and so on. And we have also talked about the biological and chemical pest control, where we said the biological pest control is depending on nature to help us fight the pest, right? Using nature to help us fight, and it can be effective and not effective, which are the advantages and the disadvantage. We talked about that, right? We also talked about the chemical pest control, where it helps us kill the pest faster, and it also has its advantage and disadvantage. We talked about all that, right? So it will be easy for us to do our assignments, right? Yes, we have to write what are pests. Sorry, I made mistake. Write out the meaning of pest. Why is pest a problem? Choose your favorite pest control method and write a short note. Advantages and disadvantage of each pest control. We can be able to do that, right? We talked about all that. So we understood our lesson on today talking about pests, right? Good. Okay.